The views expressed on the Midvale Main Street Theatre podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of the Midvale Main Street Theatre, its owners, advertisers, or volunteers.
Hey.
Bitch.
Thank you, Ashley. You have a penis.
5-year-old.
Is that what you mean?
No.
Okay. Well, you do
5-year-old.
have a penis, for the record.
You have an excuse for all of your behavior because you are playing a character. When people say you do a good job, that's whether you did a good job or not.
Yep.
They're still going to say that. But when you feel like you've done a good job, best feeling in the world.
For sure.
Not to Los Angeles, but I went to Salt Lake City. Oh my
Right.
gosh, I went from Provo to Salt Lake City. And I kind of had the Johnny experience there with all the experimenting with kinds of like different countercultures and kind of some drugs and things and all of the stuff. This experience completely turned my life around from literally 0 to whatever it is now. I don't know.
Line! Hey guys, welcome back to the Midvale Main Street Theatre podcast. Hope you guys have been having a good couple weeks. I know me and my family have, but I just wanted to go over a couple quick things before we jump into the actual episode today. As you can see from the episode's length, we have a lot to discuss today. But yeah, like I say, I just wanted to go over a couple quick things, and then we'll jump right into the episode. The first thing I wanted to say is that American Idiot did unfortunately close. It was just about a week ago now, and I just wanted to thank everybody that was involved with that production, whether it be the cast, the crew, the audience even. It was just such an amazing experience for me and my family. I've been doing shows for quite a bit now, and there are certain shows that will stick with you, as you go through them, and I definitely feel American Idiot is going to be one of them. It was truly inspirational to me to see everybody's love and effort and time that they put into this show, and it absolutely paid off, and it will be definitely one that sticks with me and inspires me going forward. So thank you to everybody. It was just a crazy ride, and I just feel incredibly lucky to be a part of it, which actually segues kind of perfectly into what I really wanted to talk about today. We as a Midvale family are unfortunately in a position again where we have to say goodbye to one of our own. And I just wanted to take a second to specifically just shout out Tasha for a second. She is incredible. She's been doing shows at Midvale since about 2015, I believe. Her first show here was Wedding Singer, and some of you may not know who she is actually because she works mostly behind the scenes. She's been stage managing, operating lights or sound or whatever else is needed for, I don't know, 10, 15 shows at this point, which is just incredible. She is truly someone that is so selfless with giving her time, her effort, her energy, her creativity. She is just incredible, and we are going to miss her a lot. And I'd like to speak now as Midvale Main Street Theatre rather than just myself in wishing her the best of luck in her new adventure and just saying thank you for everything that she's done for us. We truly could not have put together some of these shows without her love and support. So thank you so much, Tasha. Good luck. Break legs up in Seattle. We'll miss you for sure. Okay, and without further ado, I did want to go ahead and jump into this week's episode. This week's episode kind of marks a first in what I would like the show to be. When I started working on this show, I really had in mind getting the chance to interview people, whether it be cast members, crew members, whoever else that are involved with the Midvale Main Street Theatre. And obviously this week I was able to do that. I got a chance to sit down with JOHN Patrick MCKENNA, who just recently starred in American Idiot at Midvale Main Street Theatre, and I got to discuss a lot with him. I discussed his upbringing in Ogden, Utah, where he ultimately left the church that he was born and raised in, kind of rebelled and moved to the big city, moved to Los Angeles, came back, went through some troubling times, but ultimately came out of them and was better for it. It was fascinating to me. I absolutely loved interviewing him, so I hope you guys like it too. But and also, if you stick around to the end of the episode, I did want to mention that I took my portable recording device backstage with me for closing night of American Idiot and got a chance to just ask the cast a couple questions. Stick around for that because it's really fun. It kind of gives you a glimpse of what it's like backstage for one of these shows. And, it also gives you a chance to hear the cast and hear what they're going to miss most about this show. Finally, I did want to mention that I did learn a couple things while making this episode. The first one is that I should probably get a babysitter next time I do this. I decided to bring my son up with me and have him here with the interview, and Ashley graciously came and was watching Salem for most of this interview. She does chime in a little bit here and there, but ultimately she did have to babysit him, which I am so thankful for. But you will also hear Salem in the background. He was kind of tapping his foot on the table here and whimpering, crying, stuff that a 1-year-old does for sure. But yeah, like I say, we'll get a babysitter next time and go from there for sure. And also, I learned that I should bring headphones whenever I'm doing these because I got some weird static from my portable recording device while I was backstage at American Idiot. So it's definitely listenable. It's nothing too crazy, but like I say, I want to just deliver the content in the best way possible. And from now on, I'll make sure that includes bringing headphones so I know exactly what's recording at the time. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the episode with John Patrick McKenna. We're ready to go whenever you guys are. But
use whatever you want.
I do need to have you
Mine's
get closer.
gonna be loud and soft and loud and soft. And
That's fine. Yeah. Go ahead and just talk for me just to make sure we're at the right level.
hey,
Bitch.
Thank you, Ashley.
don't scream.
Okay, that should be fine. That should be perfect. Okay. Yeah, man. I don't even I feel the hardest part for me is always starting these things. Okay.
We're just
let's
people.
see.
We're just
Right.
chit. We're
Well,
people.
I'm trying to think. Why don't you start it? Why don't you give us one of the openers that you gave me? No. Great. Thanks for coming on, Ashley. We love it.
My time up?
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean,
Are these on?
these are not.
Oh, okay.
So they could be if we wanted them, but these are external microphones.
What speaker will I be coming out of?
You are coming out of the right speaker.
Ooh.
Is that okay?
Yes. It's great.
It's okay. Oh yeah, it's perfect. So I actually I mix it all to mono anyway. So both speakers.
Fucking
Sorry.
boring.
I know. I'm so sorry, but anyway, yeah, man. How are you?
I'm
I feel like it's been forever since
no,
we've
it's
seen
been
each other.
literally been 2 days.
I know, and I was telling you right when we got here, this show, for whatever reason, has made me anxious. I'm so anxious just sitting at home right now after this show, and that doesn't usually happen. Usually, this happens after a week. But last night, Ashley and I were like, we got to do something.
We thought we were going to be so excited for a night off.
And we weren't.
We were so bored.
It was boring, and we missed everybody.
I'm curious to know.
Uh-huh.
I have done 2 shows in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to know. You guys do shows all the time.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
curious to know why, particularly this show. I
Okay,
love
sure.
to hear about that.
Yeah. Do you want to start, or do you want me to?
Go for it.
Okay. By the way, before we get too far into this, I'm talking with John. Go ahead and say hello, John.
My name is John Patrick.
John Patrick.
It's
It's so
okay.
fancy and
Patrick.
John
normal.
Patrick McKenna.
And then I also have Ashley Gary Howell here. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Tasha. But yeah, anyway. So getting back to American Idiot, I grew up on American Idiot, the album. It came out right when I was starting junior high, and so I was just super into that album. But then, right, but the musical came out, and for whatever reason, I just wasn't in musical space, because in 2010. Sorry, we also have our son Salem here, and he's kind of being a little adorable. So Ashley's getting a little distracted, but No, I wasn't into musicals, so the musical kind of you just went over my head. But then we came and we did Rent, and we've been doing a bunch of shows at Midvale. Ryan's been talking about doing American Idiot for a long time, and finally they got the rights and everything, and he came to both of us and was like, hey, you know, are you guys so excited? And we were like, we have no idea about the musical at all, you know, so I can't say we're excited. But we like just started listening to it and started watching it, and we got really excited because it like awoke my junior high self, you know, with all the teen angst and everything. And then the music is obviously incredible. So there's just a lot of different things that we latched onto with the show. I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about that, Ash?
Comment on the music. This is random.
Sure.
I was the biggest thing in terms of the music from the album to the musical was that almost nothing was changed.
Yeah, I love that.
Like literally, like maybe a couple words here and there just for context, like a couple words.
And some of the arrangement was a little different just to
make it a little bit more interesting, but virtually it's almost like a carbon copy. Like I remember doing Jesus of Suburbia is a 10-minute song, and it is compiled of like
Salem had to jump in there. He had something to say about that show. Anyway.
And it's compiled of like 30-second snippets of a million different songs, kind of like something Queen would do. And it's literally a carbon copy of what's on the album. And
Absolutely.
I couldn't believe that.
The one change is that Heather's part, you know, changes
a key.
That's it.
Still
and that's
the
really,
same...
and it's cool because I get super into the shows when we do them. And I listened to an interview with Michael Mayer, the original director, and he told the interviewer, I guess, not me, that that he listened to the album while he was making a movie. He would just listen to it in his rental car driving back and forth from set to his hotel. And he just got so struck with the music and the story and everything that he wanted to keep it as true to the album as possible. And obviously that's what happened, and freaking love it for it. Because I think that's so cool. You don't see that with every jukebox musical, you know? So, yeah, true. Very true.
Sorry, off topic.
No, please. I love it. I'm going to ask you about your experience with American Idiot later. Okay. We'll get to that for sure. But, yeah, I just, like I told you, I wanted to have you on because we had a little interview just with everybody in the cast, and you made a couple comments that I didn't catch because I'm stupid and nervous about this kind of stuff, you know, but you said that you connected with the show and that some of the things that Johnny goes through are some things that you've gone through and everything like that. So I just wanted to kind of just sit down and talk to you, man. I feel like you've got a story to tell, and I would love to jump into that. So
right now,
let's do it.
Okay,
let's fucking do it, man.
So So a lot of the music. So the story with American Idiot is I, of course, knew a lot of the songs just because many of them became radio hits.
Right.
Especially like songs like Holiday and Boulevard of Broken Dreams and When September Ends and whatever. And I didn't really pay a lot of attention to them, but they were just there and I knew what they were. And anyway, but when they would come on, I would always pay attention. And then just in short, if nobody knows the story of Johnny, the role that I played in American Idiot, he's frustrated with suburbia or any like random generic city in America where nothing is happening supposedly. Yeah. And you're just unhappy and restless and want to get out, and then realize that you take all your problems with you. And anyway, and then he ends up failing and coming home.
Cool.
I kind of have done the same thing many, many times. I grew up in Ogden, Utah.
Right.
Hated it.
Okay, let's jump in there for sure, because you this is something that we shared that I found out a couple days ago. You were adopted by your parents. That was at birth, right?
At birth, yeah.
Okay, and growing up,
same.
Yes,
same.
It was like a week after, just because. So, again, I don't want to make this about me because this is about you, but it's kind of a fascinating story because my birth mom is from California originally, and she was driving to Salt Lake to have me. So she for legal reasons, whatever. But I started coming out early, and so she had to stop in Las Vegas and give birth.
Oh.
So I was in Las Vegas for about a week before my parents could actually grab me and take me home.
So that's your birthplace.
Yeah, which is way cooler than Salt Lake City, and I will take that. I'll tell everybody Las Vegas is where I'm from, even though it's not true.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, so getting back to you, born and raised Ogden, Utah, you knew that you were adopted just from the get-go,
Yeah,
right?
Always, yeah.
Yeah. Did that play any role in your life?
It honestly, I don't think it did.
Yeah.
It really didn't. Like, it was never... It didn't ever feel... I don't know. It really wasn't something that was ever at the forefront of my mind. It was always kind of like when you were meeting like a new group of people and they said, say one unique thing about you, that was always the easiest thing to say.
Easiest answer, and I loved it for it.
I was adopted and so was my sister. Do you know your birth? All these like questions, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
No.
It doesn't...
I
it
do now,
doesn't-
but like I didn't
Sure.
then.
Yeah. But it doesn't affect your life growing up. I never felt like weird or ostracized about it, and I feel
No.
I feel like people project that more onto people that are adopted than anything else. But anyway, so born and raised in Ogden, like I say, you grew up LDS, right?
Oh, very.
Very LDS. Okay. Could you explain that?
So growing up, though, I hated it.
Really?
So
Okay.
like as a teenager, as an 8-year-old, as a 7-year-old, as a 19-year-old, I hated it. I couldn't stand it. It was like the most confining, uninteresting, boring, like forced thing on the planet. And
Sure.
like the same thing with like Scouts. My parents forced me to go through Scouts. And in fact, being in Scouts as a teenager, I couldn't get my license until I got my Eagle and all that kind of stuff. And I just said, you know what? Then I guess I'm not getting my license.
Wow.
And I didn't get it until I was like 17.
Wow. Gotcha.
Because it was the worst thing that they could have possibly done, and it ruined our relationship.
Why
as
do
a
you say that?
teenager.
Why is it the worst thing that they could have done?
Because Scouts was very, very, very specific in the kind of person and the kinds of things that they made you do that a lot of people were really interested in. I was surrounded by people who absolutely loved it.
Loved going up and shooting 22s and
They love shooting the
Tying
guns,
knots and
tying
ropes.
knots, and all the survival stuff that doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter. I was surrounded by people who loved it, and I hated it. And it's just like, well, these people are having fun, but I hate this stuff. Why are they making me do this? Like,
you kind of felt like the other in your group of friends.
in a very, very basic way of saying this, it's like, let's make my gay son straight. And that's exactly what it feels like.
Okay. So this is kind of something that I've found online, and I wanted to kind of talk to you about. And it's like, I don't want to jump into the heavy stuff immediately, but it's fascinating to me. You've said as much. You've said that your parents knew that you were gay, but tried to correct that.
My parents have told me, like on a personal level, that they knew since I was different from when I was a baby. They've said when I was a baby.
You
They've
gave
literally
it
said
a
that.
subtext to a different, you know.
Well, yeah, because they don't, And here's the thing: is when you're like raising a child. Oh, that baby is so cute. Like when you're raising a child or a dog, or you're going to your first job or anything, like it's your first time, and you have no idea what you're doing. You're literally. I believe that everybody is winging it. Every human
Absolutely.
being right now is literally winging it, unless
Absolutely.
they've been doing something for 50 years.
Well, Ashley, we don't know what we're doing with Salem. This is our best guess.
No.
So I don't.
Nobody knows what they're doing. with
Right.
parenting.
And it's just to kind of sidetrack, we as parents, there's like people that judge you for doing certain things, but every baby is going to be different.
So many things.
You know,
And I don't blame. I'm sure I remember growing up, they went to parenting classes and stuff like that. And I always remember being a kid being like, why do you have to go to parenting classes? Or is there something wrong with us? And whatever. But I realized that they're just desperately trying to do the right thing. So I don't for a second, like blame them for like you did everything terrible. But I realized that they had no idea how to handle anything.
right. Well, did they grow up in Ogden? Or are they kind of Utah born and
They
raised?
grew up in Ogden. They went
Okay.
to the same elementary school.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
They were in the same classes.
That's
Yeah,
so crazy.
like they literally same high school, etc.
Right. But so they were kind of grown up in this machine of,
Yeah.
this religion. I say the same thing about my parents because I'm not gay, but I've obviously apostatized or whatever other word you want to use it. And it's very sad for them. I still have conversations with my mom about how we're going to be separated in heaven and other things like that. And it's really like, I
When
don't
your
know.
parent, like when your family tells you that they're praying for you.
Right. And
It like makes it worse. It's like, so it sounds like God's punishing you because you won't get to be with your kids, but we're fine.
right.
Not gonna miss.
That is the most. I didn't want to make this about this, but
We don't-
it's the most insidious thing about the LDS Church for me, because how we're living our lives, me and Ashley and you, obviously, feels like it's what we're supposed to be doing, but we have our parents coming at us and being like, "You are making me suffer," and that's how they like. I feel like that's how they keep people
guilt
going
thing.
in this machine, like I say. So it's just awful. Anyway, getting sidetracked. I
Nope,
feel like
we're-
this is going to
we're
be
good.
the
We're-
podcast
nope.
of getting sidetracked. But so you've talked about how they've went to parenting classes and they did other things like that.
Yeah, I think they did just normal things. I don't think
Okay.
any of that was weird.
Gotcha.
Like I know,
Sure.
I'm sure
They
every
were just-
parent in the neighborhood did the same thing.
Right. They were just like overprotective parents. I get that.
Yeah,
But-
they just didn't know. They just wanted to do the right thing, and
Mm-hmm.
just growing up, I hated all of that. I hated all of it. I wanted to be, and here's the thing: is looking back, I wanted to be a rebel teenager and do everything. Like I wanted to but I never did drugs, never did alcohol. I was 22 before I had a drink, even a sip of alcohol, and I like going to BYU and all that stuff. And
Right.
that was a whole
It's
other story.
fascinating to me. We're
But-
going to get into that for sure. But
But I in terms of being a rebel, no, not even kind of.
me neither.
I just I may have said I may have swore I probably swore at school.
Yeah.
And then came home and
Never did.
Didn't.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
that's about as rebel as I was,
That-
and I can't even believe anyway.
Yeah.
It sounds like that was kind of the same for you too.
That's exactly.
But
Yeah.
I still hated all of that growing up. And
Sure. Well, yeah. Did you, because we're talking, this is supposed to be a theater podcast. I'm trying to keep it there, but did you do any kind of artistic stuff growing up?
all theater. Yeah.
Theater, okay.
Yeah, my first play was Music Man, and I was
Ooh.
in
That was one of my first.
kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Oh.
Wow.
And I was too nervous to audition. So they want, of course,
You have a penis.
5-year-old.
Is that what you mean?
No.
Okay. Well, you do
5-year-old.
have a penis for the record.
A 5-year-old boy comes into an auditions and they want him to audition for Winthrop, and I was too nervous. And I still to this day have not been absolutely terrified of auditions.
Oh my God,
And
really?
performing in front of people, except in a play. In
Okay.
a play, when I'm on stage in a play, the nerves are not there at all,
Wow. Okay.
because I might as well be in my bedroom performing for the mirror.
When you say play, do you mean straight play or musical?
Like musical,
Okay.
like a live, like a musical.
Okay.
If it's a solo performance, like I am the featured musical at a church event or something, I want to kill myself. It is just absolute torture, and I take Klonopin and sip wine and all sorts of things to calm me down.
So what's the difference though? Because
I
you're
don't know. I think it might be the lighting.
really
It really might be the lighting.
okay. So what about American Idiot? Because we
Couldn't
had rock.
see the audience ever.
Okay,
That's
so it's
true.
just seeing somebody's face.
It might be.
Okay,
And on stage, there's just light.
Also,
right.
in a play, you have an excuse for all of your behavior because you are playing a character.
Gotcha.
So if you're nervous, like trying to play the guitar for the first time in your life in front of people and singing, and you're wobbly and shaky, thank God it's a sad song because you're wobbly and shaky because you're
Emotion.
yeah.
Right. Gotcha.
Like I feel like there's sorry, I'm getting away from the microphone. I feel like there's a lot more there's a lot more things that you can channel when you're in a musical rather than standing on a pulpit and singing a church song.
Right.
Because all people are doing are sitting and listening to your voice. That's the
Silently
only thing they're
judging
doing.
you. Are you talking about like performing at an LDS church?
Yes.
Because they won't clap for you.
I sang.
They don't do anything. That is so nerve-wracking.
Once upon a time, I sang. So I used to have a little stage in my basement growing up, because we did community theater, me and my sister, and sometimes my mom. Just like Hello Dolly and Annie and
All the Utah shows.
Yes, just all of them.
Yep.
Just we were one after another. And but I had my own little stage with lights and a little sound system.
Wow,
and
cool.
Just that I made myself in my basement. And one night, and every time we'd have like family dinners on Sunday, grandma and aunts and uncles and whatever would come down and we'd do like 3 or 4 little songs or
Really?
something like that.
That's
and
awesome.
One time I decided to do a little solo, and it was apparently it had a huge effect on everybody. And all of a sudden I had voice lessons.
Okay.
And was singing in every sacrament meeting across the Wasatch Front.
Right? Oh my God. Like if you can sing at all, you are just tapped all the time.
Like I would be like this, like I would sing in other wards' primaries. Like
Yeah.
I would be like a featured guest all over the place. And I
Right.
was only like 7
Yeah,
or
that's so
9
crazy.
or something. And I was terrified and hated all of it
Really? So why'd you do it?
because I was forced to do all this stuff.
Forced to,
I didn't
meaning
mind-
people asked you and you
Voice
felt
lessons were
obligated?
fine because that's something I wanted to perform. But oh my gosh, performing in church was the worst, and it was
Gotcha.
the most terrifying. I just had performance anxiety like nobody's business.
That's crazy to me. Sorry, we'll get to all that for sure. But did you choose theater or did theater choose you? That is the most cliche question to ask. But did you want to start doing theater, or were you kind of like brought into this?
Oh no,
against your will.
I did theater. Theater was absolutely my choice growing up.
Cool.
That is something that I will never ever take for granted. Like my parents couldn't have done. That was exactly the correct thing for them to let me do.
Cool. I love it. Well, it sounds like it kind of shaped your life. Were you just constantly doing stuff growing up? Okay.
But taking it back a little bit, it never progressed beyond literally this one community theater in Ogden, Utah.
Gotcha. Do
And
you remember what it was called or anything?
Yes, it was the Terrace Plaza Playhouse.
Oh, okay. Cool.
In Ogden, Utah. I did probably 40 plus shows there.
That's crazy that it's been around for that long. Anyway.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
since the early 90s.
Yeah, so growing up, you were doing all these shows. It sounds like you were, trying your best to be a good Mormon boy.
I was pretending.
Okay,
I hated
and
it.
yeah,
It was fake. It was all fake.
so this is going to kind of shape where we go from here. When did you realize your sexuality?
Oh, well, that's such a good question. So there's realizing your sexuality, and then there's like having your
Coming out.
sexuality.
Right. Okay.
Like having it was like as a like 7 years. I was 7, and Jonathan Taylor Thomas I had the hugest crush on him in Home Improvement, and like I knew he was the voice of Simba in The Lion King, and I had the hugest.
Was he really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, like giant crush. And like I would literally like in my elementary school library, I would check out they had like 16 magazine with like all these I was so gay as an 8-year-old, as a 7-year-old,
Gotcha.
whatever.
But like that doesn't cross your mind as a 7 or 8
No.
year old.
And even when I'm like 17 in high school, this is pre-Glee, by the way.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Like gay people don't exist. Like they are the
Especially up in Ogden.
especially up in Ogden. Like the only one gay person at our school was super like counterculture. Like oh, we don't talk to that person because they're just weird. Like all around. But like in retrospect, a lot of the people who bullied me in high school are literally the gayest people I know.
Sure. Well, that's the thing. Like I've heard that too. You don't want to admit it to yourself, so you just fight it. And
That is a very
Exactly.
common
yeah.
thing.
So was it high school, college, after college?
I kind of acknowledged it a little bit in high school, and then got a lot of like pushback from, and put it back in the drawer.
Right. Turn it off.
And then kind of let it come out a little bit again in college, and then put it back. And I actually, this is a whole other conversation that we won't get into now. But I decided to go all Mormon, like I went on a mission because I wanted to, because I had to. That's a whole other thing. We're not going to go into that right now. But
Okay.
So I went through like a couple, 2 or 3 years where I was really, really like pro God, pro this, pro whatever. Anyway, but then I went back to, I went to BYU and I graduated BYU. But there are so many gay people at BYU. It blew my mind. And
right.
everybody was there struggling with the same silly thing. And as horrifyingly sheltered as BYU is, and how limited an experience with reality that you have at a place like that, it is such a strange community of people.
I feel every time I've been to Utah County, even, let alone like the BYU campus, it always feels like almost like there's insulation around everything. It's like there's no noise even. It's a weird feeling.
It's a little bit like Edward Scissorhandsy, like land, like weird kind of alternative reality. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
but that's where I decided I'm done.
Okay.
Like it's like a pressure cooker. It can only pressure cook so long, and you just okay.
well, and you're not the first person that has tried to stay within the church and then break off immediately after your mission. You know, that's kind of a common theme. But I mean, even so, you graduated from BYU with a music production. Yeah.
But that's because I felt alienated in the musical theater department.
Really?
I went for musical theater.
Okay, so you started with
And I
musical
wanted
theater.
to do musical theater, and I wanted to go to New York and do all those kinds of things. But
so
every single person in my graduating class is literally on Broadway right now.
Really? Gotcha. Wow, that's got to be hard to kind of look at.
Oh,
then.
I have unfollowed 70 people on Facebook.
Wow.
In the last 5-7
Shoot.
years.
So what happened? Because you're saying that there's so many closeted gay people there.
There were at the time, and I didn't know. We just never talked about it. Like you had to pretend like you were like overcoming it,
Right.
or that you were doing the right thing, and if you were, then they forgave you for having that problem. It just was a
Ugly time.
Yeah, and I also again have severe performance anxiety, and I also grew up literally just doing that one community theater my whole life.
Sure.
No training. I had vocal training, yes, but I didn't have any like dance training, like formal, other than like tap and
Just choreography for the shows you were
Yeah.
doing, I'm sure. Yeah.
And I went there, and people had they had like a resume of like church films, and like they'd done Tuacahn for 15 years,
Right.
and they'd like done all these just big professional productions, and like they had starred in Disney films because they kept.
To be fair, that's no judge for talent, though. You know, because it's just
That's true. But being there and being surrounded by all that was just it was too much.
so it was kind of like a. What am I trying to say? It's kind of like a my experience beats your experience, so I'm automatically
And they didn't necessarily like dangle it in front of me. It just
just
it was
intimidation.
just an overwhelming
Yeah.
thing. The
Gotcha.
whole thing was just overwhelming.
Well, you did some things in high school, though. You did a couple of performances in high school and in college. What were your favorites growing up? What jumps out?
Favorite performances ever?
Yeah. What made you keep going and keep wanting to do this kind of stuff?
That's a good question. Because I think there are times in my life when just being accepted for 45 minutes was all that.
You didn't have to
I
worry
wanted-
about everything on the outside.
Like, oh my gosh, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing. And then the rest of my life is like people screaming at me how gay I am as a teenager. But that's a whole other thing.
Sure.
But I loved being on stage, and I loved doing a good job. When people say you do a good job, that could be whether you did a good job or not.
Yep.
Like, they're still going to say that. But when you feel like you've done a good job, or given a good performance or bested yourself a little bit, that's the best feeling in the world.
For sure. For sure. And it's almost like a drug for me because that's what I try to just make myself better every single performance. You know, maybe I don't get there sometimes, but at least like I have that rush of, you know, I'm almost there. I'm almost on that verge, you know, kind of thing. But cool. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and take a break for a little bit. Yeah, let's just kind of we'll chill for a second. We'll maybe grab a couple drinks here, and we will come back and we'll talk about your music and we'll talk about Bear and American Idiot, some things that you're proud of. How about that?
Why are we talking about me so much?
This is the thing,
interview.
dude. This is
Your
you interview
session.
for sure. Well, yeah, we'll be right back.
Like what you're hearing? Please consider leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Facebook, or wherever else you're listening. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, Salem announced it. We are back. Yeah, we just took a little break, but wanted to talk to you about American Idiot specifically now because we've kind of been through high school, college, but I know that this show means a lot to you. Meant a lot to you. It was a weird way to say that. Means a lot to you, I'll say.
It's dead. It's over. You can say meant.
It's not over. We're here. We're recording 2 days after we closed, and I feel like this cast is going to be one that still hangs out after the show for sure, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, definitely. But I know that the show means a lot to you. So, what about Johnny kind of drew you to that character? And because I know that it's a very personal story and a character for you. So
Yeah. So in essence, he restlessly lives in suburbia, goes away, tries to find himself, comes back and realizes that like finding him, you have to find yourself in yourself. You're not going to find yourself somewhere else.
So you're referencing, it sounds like, when you moved to LA for a little bit.
Yes, I did. Well, I've done a lot of things, but yes,
Okay.
I struggled to get. I got through college as quickly as I could, which was a long time, like 7 years. It took me forever. I failed anyway. That's a whole thing.
Hey, at least you graduated.
But
I tried so many times.
Yeah,
and just
I
never
graduated.
Mm-hmm.
Got out of it. And then the second that some kind of little glimmer of opportunity happened, or like a financial surge rather, I took it and I went.
Okay.
And I went to the first place that I thought would be a good opportunity. And so I moved to Los Angeles. I graduated in music production, just to give you a little context. And I actually had a goal of working for Disney.
Really? Okay.
I wanted to be on some sort of creative...
Do you want to work on movies or like live shows?
Specifically Disneyland Park.
Okay.
But still, their music production team was all based in Burbank, which is Los Angeles, essentially.
It's all Los Angeles. It has so many names.
And I was very, very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate to be in contact with someone who is on that particular team. And they said, literally, just, come here with $1,000, move, and get your foot in the door however you possibly can. And so I did that. And ended up working at restaurants for, like 6 months and whatever. Anyway, long story short, I went there and I hated it so badly.
Why is that?
It was and I don't want this is my experience with Los Angeles. This is not my blanket statement about Los Angeles, but it seemed very, very cutthroat and very, very, the timing was not right. And I went trying to get away from things very much in the way that Johnny was trying to just get away from things without a plan and without
you had no like set plans. You just wanted to go and just kind of explore who you are.
I just went to go. I met some of my favorite people that I've ever met in my life. I am still in contact with many of them. It was a very, very, very rewarding experience, but a very, very lonely one.
Sure.
And in the context of what Johnny went through, so Johnny he moves away to a big city. It's implied that it's New York City, and gets involved in drugs and like chooses drugs over like a really kind of a cool relationship, and when I came home from Los Angeles, which happened to be very, very quickly, it was actually because of some medical stuff, which had to do with a car accident and a whole bunch of stuff. I ended up having to come back to Utah to afford.
A choice.
Yeah, it was not much of a choice. No. But I came back to where I had started, and then I kind of branched out slightly, not to Los Angeles, but I went to Salt Lake City. Oh my gosh, I went from Provo to Salt Lake City, which was such a big step for me. And I kind of had the Johnny experience there.
Okay.
In Salt Lake with all the experimenting with kinds of like different countercultures and kind of some drugs and things and all of the stuff. And there's a lot of like just putting out feelers for like, oh, do I belong here? Do I belong there? Do I belong with this group of people? Do I belong at this job? Do I belong here? And like I wanted to belong in all of these different places. And it's sometimes it's kind of hard to force yourself to feel like you belong in a certain place when you really just don't. You just don't.
Sure. And
there was a lot of depression and a lot of just a lot of like moments of a lot of giving up. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And a lot of alcohol and a lot of Adderall.
Just a self-medication kind of
thing. A lot of self-medicating and a lot of... And look, here's the thing, is all these kinds of experiences, you either completely fail and die,
sure,
which is a terrible thing to say, but I've been on that road plenty of times, and that is an option. Or you come out with a lot of empathy for people who go through this, because I think a lot of human beings, whether the situation is exactly the same or vastly different, the experience, the kinds of questioning, self-questioning, and all that kind of stuff is very, very, very similar. And I feel like I did come out with a lot of empathy, but went through several years of just absolutely hopeless, like self-medicating.
But isn't that something that ultimately is cool about theater? Because what you're talking about is something that we're able to bring to everybody else on stage. Because I could never pretend to know your experience with that kind of stuff, but I could feel that from your performance, and I think that people in the audience could feel that too. So I feel like between that and then between how just people in theater in general are so empathetic and accepting and everything like that, I just think it's such a cool culture that we can, experience and be able to bring to that for sure. But
I think that's one of the reasons I find like movies and books and stories in general, just in a very, very general sense, are so valuable, is because you have the opportunity to sort of come close to experiencing or empathizing with another human being. When you're reading Harry Potter, you're freaking out when Harry Potter freaks out.
Right.
And you are thinking the same... You're thinking the same things and feeling the same things that this character might in this particular circumstance, even though this circumstance is so far-fetched that, like, obviously you're never going to experience it, but you gain a little bit, even a tiny bit of empathy. And I think empathy is one of the most important human characteristics on this planet.
Definitely. And it's something that seems to be lacking these days too. So I think it's really cool that we were able to bring this show to the stage, and it's very cool that you were able to play that part too. It sounds like it was pretty cathartic for you.
Yes. It took me a while actually to kind of let my guard down and actually be Johnny. I thought it would be very easy. I thought, I've been through this experience. I can play this role.
Gotcha.
I can be all depressed, and it took a very long time to actually let those lines cross. Interesting.
Okay, well, let's just jump into it. So you came to audition for the show. I'm going to kind of touch on what you just said in a little bit, but you came to audition for the show for that reason. It sounds like just the show in general is really what kind of struck you. What was that like coming into the audition and the callback and everything? Like, were you nervous? Were you? How are you
still
feeling?
can't believe any of it happened.
You can't believe it. What do you mean by that?
I had gone the last literally in the last year I quit 2 good jobs with very big companies, very great benefits, et cetera, because I hated the job so much. And I thought, okay, I can just quit and I can succeed. But both times I went deeper than I'd ever gone in terms of like depression and kind of being just stuck and just sort of like giving up every single day. Every single day you wake up at 4 p.m., you're just like, I can't do this anymore, and I hate all of it. And I had done that at the beginning of March this year. I had quit the second job and given up the second huge time. And a couple years prior, during when I was talking about I moved to Salt Lake City and started trying all the things and whatever, I had actually stumbled upon American Idiot, the musical, via Netflix, because they had Broadway Idiot, which is the documentary about the making of the musical, was on Netflix. And I watched it and I was like, oh my gosh. And I had like 3 or 4 weeks of just like being obsessed with it. Okay. And then I kind of let it fizzle because I was like, oh, Utah's never going to do this.
Right. Sure.
Yes.
So, but what about the documentary struck you so much?
They went through Broadway Idiot was more than a documentary about the musical itself. Like they actually went into like Billy Joe's life and like different aspects of the formation of the band and I don't know. I honestly, it was 2015 or 16, and I was high as fuck, sitting in the middle of my little studio apartment just in the middle of this little studio apartment, watching this thing, and I just became immediately completely immersed and fascinated by this whole process, this like formation of this band. Their struggle with what was going on around them, and just their uncontrollable desire to make music. And I thought to myself one day, I was like, I need to be in this someday. And then I left it.
Right.
And I left it because I hadn't done a show in years, and I had no intention or even thought of how to do a show because it had been a long time.
Well, because that was my next question. You did Bear, and I think that was back in 2015, you said, right?
January 2015.
Okay. So how did you even hear about it? You know, because like I feel like since Ashley and I we've been doing shows for so long, we're just kind of in tune with audition notices and who's doing what. But was it something that you just like decided one day, hey, I'm wondering what's happening in the theater world, or is it something you were kind of still aware of even
in
after?
March when I quit that job? I literally was at the end of my rope in many senses, in many ways, and literally opened my computer, typed in American Idiot, Utah audition.
Wow.
And I'm dead serious. I'm not exaggerating any part of this.
Sure.
Typed in American Idiot Utah audition, and that is what came up. And I said, okay, this is the one thing I have going right now.
Wow.
And I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And the day of auditions comes, and I was still completely unemployed, and my life was just plummeting quickly. And I was still getting up at 4 p.m. every day. But the day of auditions, I was sick. Like I got really sick, and
wow.
I didn't have a voice, really.
I would never have guessed that from the callbacks.
Had practiced. I thought, okay, the only song I don't know a lot of theater because I kind of gave up on theater 5 years ago at BYU and whatever. I sang one song, Glory.
Gotcha.
From Rent, and I up until like 20 minutes before I think my scheduled audition time, I was not going to go.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because I just.
So why did you? What made you decide to come?
I don't know. I don't know how I did it. I was nervous, and I don't know. I don't even know.
Well, it's really funny because like you say that you're nervous, but you got the part and you fucking killed the part. So, it's like, it's really funny sometimes to look back and be like, you know what? I shouldn't have been as nervous as I was,
This experience completely turned my life around from literally 0 to whatever it is now. I don't know.
Well, good. Again, you fucking killed it, dude. And obviously we're both very lucky. All three of us, Ashley included, are very lucky to have been a part of it. But
I can say that I went into this musical with no expectations. I was literally just searching for kind of a mode of survival. If I hadn't done theater in a long time. I didn't think of theater as being an answer to anything. And I Googled this particular show because I remembered, 2 years ago, I was high once and watched this documentary, and it really kind of affected me for a couple weeks, and found a show. And before I even got a job again, this gave me something to live for. It really, I would have accepted. I put on the application that I would accept I would have done any role in this show. I just needed something this thing to do, and it really was kind of a rescue for me.
Yeah,
I know it sounds kind of crazy and
no,
whatever, but
no, dude, I
would probably not be around today if it wasn't for this show. I'm dead serious.
Well, we're very lucky to have had you. And that's what's, again, very cool about theater. It's like, when we were doing Rent, which was back in 2012.
Do it again.
Tammy, if you're listening to this, you just heard somebody else besides Ashley and I say this.
It's on tour right now or something. Something's happening.
That was Ashley. Okay. But it's on tour, so she can't yet, but
5 roles in that show I would love to play.
Oh my God. Well, there's only one role for Ashley and I. But that's just because we've done it. Well, no, because we weren't even opposites in Rent. We were... Ashley was Mimi and I was Mark.
Oh my God.
But that show meant so much to us. And it's kind of what you're talking about with American Idiot, because like up until Rent, I was in a pretty big depression. I went to Western Wyoming Community College for 1 semester, and that set off my depression. This was in 2009. And it was just, I think it was just moving away from home, questioning.
When did you, sorry, off topic.
No, please.
When did you graduate high school?
2009.
So not that far.
No. Did you, how
2004.
Okay. Did you think I was way younger than you or something?
Well, you're 27.
I'm 26. I'm about to turn 27.
Which is like 6 years younger.
Yeah.
7 years younger.
Do you not feel like we were super old in this cast? Because everybody was 20.
Oh, my God. Everyone was 17.
I know.
As soon as I found out Sam was 17, everyone was 17.
Sure. So...
There's a lot of gluten on that
2009.
shirt front.
Going through some weird stuff. Had to come home. So from 2010 to 2012, I really didn't have many friends. I had my bandmates, but they were both serving.
Bandmates?
Yeah. Did you not know I played in a band?
Honey.
Uh-oh. That's where I was going with this, though. So
okay.
In high school, I played in a band, and we were pretty terrible, but it was fun, And that's who I was counting on to kind of be there for me when I came home. But then I remembered they had to go serve their missions. So what I would do, I was just writing solo music. That's all I did for 2 years. It was just like me and my acoustic guitar. That's all it was. I'm blowing John's mind right now. You guys can't see it, but yeah. So that's what I did. But it was weird because it was just me in my bedroom playing guitar for 2 years, and what brought me out of it was going to audition for Rent. I had a couple friends from Western that had come back, and then they were like...
2012
was when Rent was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's what brought me back, and that's what gave me Midvale, and that's what gave me all my friends today, including my wife and my son, So my
Your
son,
son
who's just
wasn't
being a
alive back
stink
then,
right
so
there.
chill out.
Oh, I'm so
I'm
sorry.
just kidding.
I'm so sorry, John.
I'm just kidding.
I was talking about
I'm
what
just
led to
kidding.
him, but yeah. So no, I absolutely get it, and I'm glad that you had the experience you needed with this show.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's what it was.
So that kind of just brings me back to what I was talking about, like from the callbacks and auditions. How did you feel when you got cast? And you got your part, the Johnny that you related to so much.
I was at a movie. I got a phone call and I looked down and I was like, oh, it's probably the callbacks. And they just said, we want to offer you this role. And I just was completely stupefied. I just stood there and I was like, oh.
Sure.
And I immediately accepted it because I just couldn't believe it.
Right.
I was not expecting that at all. I was 100% open to everything, and I wrote that on the audition list or on the form you fill out.
Right.
And I just was like, okay, this is what I will accept. This, and this, and this, and if I get a phone call, this is what I'm going to say.
Sure.
And I just was so overwhelmed with that phone call that I just didn't even know what to say. And I just
said, yes.
I just couldn't even believe it. And
Right.
then I went back to my movie and went home and OMG.
Yeah.
And then I learned every song in the next 3 days.
Right.
Just anyway.
Sure.
That's a-
Well, how did you start preparing from there? Do you
Oh,
have any kind of process with it or anything? Or
Oh, I learned at least without a score or a script or anything, which I had not received yet. I learned every single song that my character sang in the show, probably within the first 5 days.
right.
And I did develop a texting kind of relationship with the director, and he gave me all the lines for the show that I spoke, and I memorized those. Also in the first, I sound like really OCD.
No,
but I'm kind of an OCD. I'm just going to be honest. I'm just an OCD actor when it comes to all that kind of stuff, and I was memorized before the first day of rehearsal.
Yeah.
But that's just because I wanted to be able to, on the first day of rehearsal, I wanted to be able to fall into the role rather than worry about specifics.
Sure. Cool. Well, so what was the best and what was the most challenging parts of bringing Johnny to the stage?
Two most challenging parts about the particular role, honestly, was it sounds really stupid and it sounds really dumb until you've tried it yourself, was singing stuff without vibrato.
Oh my gosh, yeah, for sure.
I have a very, very classical musical theater,
Well, and I've heard you can be silky smooth when you want to be,
Thank you for saying that.
It's true. It's true.
But
for sure.
very classical music. When I say classical musical theater, I mean like Rodgers and Hammerstein, kind of thoroughly modern Millie stuff.
Well, that's what you were growing up doing,
Yes.
and even probably with your vocal coach and everything,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. 100% classical music. And singing songs without vibrato, which is very much the Green Day style. I don't think Billy Joe ever has vibrato, period.
Right.
And even the Broadway cast recording of the show. And I took liberties, yes. And I took liberties where I wanted to take liberties, but that's just what you do.
Yeah.
But I made it a point for most of the songs to do it without vibrato. And it was very, very difficult because there are a lot of pitch things that you had to figure out, and a lot of breath things, and a lot of air and support.
Salem just wants to derail this whenever
There's a baby
he can.
here.
I know.
Oh my God.
Oh, buddy, we love you. You're crazy, but we love you.
But it's a dumb thing. It sounds really dumb. But,
No, it's really
but
not.
singing with no vibrato was a big deal.
Well, for me, preparing for the audition, I was trying to do the same thing because I don't know how to not sing with vibrato. I don't know about placement in general. I've never taken a vocal lesson, really. So, yeah, I was just trying my hardest, and I still don't know if I did completely, but I get it. I get it for sure.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something else. There's another challenging thing there? Or?
And the guitar.
Yeah.
I had never played the guitar in my life. And when I say I'd never played the guitar in my life, I'd literally never even touched. I don't think even a friend that played the guitar at a scout camp or some silly thing in my past. Like, I don't even think I'd even touched it to move it. Like, here's a space for you to sit next to me because there was a guitar here.
Right.
I had never even touched one.
Wow.
And that was a, oh dear God, help us.
No, dude, I've told you, one of my former bandmates came and he was so impressed. Cause he, like, I told him that you'd never picked up a guitar, and yeah, it was like, I'm impressed. It was fine.
It was fine. It was fine. It was fine.
What you can't expect to, be like a professional after
it
2
was
months.
fine. It was
but,
fine.
it worked. It was for just a couple months with how, like, because when I started learning my guitar, I was playing power chords for a couple years, but you were playing like actual guitar chords and everything. So I'm super impressed. Super impressed.
Thank
for
you.
sure. Well, we just closed a couple days ago. How were the performances specifically?
I will be quite honest. So when we did dress rehearsal, so first of all, the rehearsal process was literally the shortest rehearsal process I've ever had for any show that I've ever done in my entire life. Mm-hmm. We started learning dances literally like 2 or 3 weeks before the show. Mm-hmm. And there were scenes we hadn't even done till like the night before the final dress rehearsal. Yeah. I don't know. There was just, it was crazy, but it was good. It was good. Everything turned out fine. Mm-hmm. It was probably the best opening night that I've ever had in my life.
It's crazy how much that audience just kicked our butt.
And I actually don't really know even why everything worked out so well.
Mm-hmm. There was a couple rehearsals like a couple days before we opened where the band just couldn't hear themselves, and
sound issues, and
there was a bunch of sound issues and everything, and I was just thinking, I don't even know how this is gonna.
But I'll still be honest. I think tech came together. Like at least the last show that I did before this, which was 4 or 5 years ago, mm-hmm. we went through like a week of tech. I don't even think we went through tech at all in this one. Like, it was literally just like, oh, we'll throw the tech in when they come. Mm-hmm. And the lighting was just there, and the sound was just there, and it actually, I couldn't believe it all came together the way it did. So we did tech. We did opening night. I thought it was literally the best opening night that I have personally ever had. Mm. It went way better than I thought. Mm-hmm. But then a week later, the show shifted dramatically for myself, at least for me.
Do you know why?
I don't know why.
Okay.
I did learn 2 things in this production. One was that, like, I frequently felt like, oh, you feed off the audience. Mm-hmm. If the audience is great, then you're going to be great. In other ways, in another sense, I realized that, the audience, whatever they do, like you are doing your own performance, and it needs you either need to feel it, or I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Delete that. Delete the hell out of that.
No, what you're saying is no matter what the audience is doing, even if they're just sitting there straight-faced, you have to go out there and perform your ass off.
Because they still may be feeling the same things, they just don't express it the same way.
Mm-hmm. Some of the like performances where I've been like, this audience is just not with us. I've had people come up to me and be like, this is the best that you've ever done it, Mm-hmm. And it's just, I feel like you try to get a sense of what the audience is doing, but ultimately you never really know. So
there was a night. So I'll get to this later, but we had a really, really incredible Friday night once.
Definitely.
That just blew my mind. It was the best night that I think I've ever felt in my life in terms of being on stage. Mm. But the night before, I had a bunch of coworkers come. Mm. And in the first number, I noticed that they were there, and I kind of got a little bit self-conscious, whatever. Kind of just like performed the best, I thought I was giving the best I could. But kind of midway through the first act, Usually I'll let the first act be determined by the way my like first couple songs are. Mm. And if I do anything weird in the first songs, like if I'm a little bit late in the music or like do kind of a funny, silly thing, I'll let that determine the whole trajectory of my first act. But I thought to myself, no, I'm going to make the second half of the first act better than the first. And these songs that are usually just kind of quote unquote throwaway songs, I'm going to make them the best ones. And it was just a dumb self-realization. And I thought, I'm going to make these the best songs ever. And it turned out to be one of my favorite shows I've ever done. And I felt good. And I felt like I just was I don't know, I was just in it better than I'd ever been before, even though I didn't feel like being in it. But I was.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so that was kind of if I learned anything in this entire run, that was something that I learned. That I could make it be incredible whether or not I felt exhausted or disconnected or whatever.
Definitely.
I could still make it work.
So, so now that the show's over and everything, what are your plans? Because I know that you write music. You at least have in the past. I don't know if you're currently doing that, but do you have any shows that you're looking to do or music or anything?
It is 2 days after the production.
Is it mean for me to ask you that right now?
It's not mean. It's just I've been looking for something to do for a long time. I knew that the end would come. Mm-hmm. This show got me out of a very, 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 very deep hole. It was a part of getting me out of that, and I cannot wait for the next thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure that it will come quicker than you realize. So cool. Well, thank you so much. You know, we've been talking for a little bit now, but thank you so much for hanging out and sharing your story and everything like that. And I know for sure we'll keep that going for sure. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I really did for sure. So
thank you for listening to me. And I'm a rambler, and that's just how it is.
You gotta stop doubting yourself, dude.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Well, thank you guys. We'll see you later.
All right, I'm here with Nick. We're backstage, so it's a little loud, but how are you, man? It's closing night. How are you feeling?
Oh, dude, I feel great. A little anxious, sad that the show's closing, but, I feel great. I feel like we put up a great show.
Absolutely, we did. Absolutely. Well, what is the one thing you're going to miss the most about this show?
Probably the people. I don't know. We have an amazing cast that all put their heart into it, and same with the crew. And, I don't know. I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to be able to be in a show with. So, also the music. I love Green Day, so.
Hell yeah, for sure. Well, have an awesome closing night.
Hey, thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah, we'll see you.
You too.
I'm here with Ashley, and Kelly's kind of creeping in the background, but whatever. Hey, so Ashley, it's closing. How are you feeling about it?
I can't talk about it.
Okay. All right.
Glad we're talking to you then.
Yeah, absolutely. I chose the right person. Well, if there's one thing you're going to miss more than anything about the show, what is it?
It's me. It's Kelly.
It's everybody
all
here.
of them.
No, it's not even. It's just Kelly. Okay. Well, wrong.
It's all of them, but mostly just Kelly.
Perfect. Well, let's go to Kelly then. Kelly, what are you going to miss most?
I'm gonna miss myself.
Kelly's going to miss herself, apparently.
I'm gonna miss Kelly playing Johnny. I thought it was really good when she did it. She would sing and people would be like, "Oh wow!" and then she'd be like, "Ah!" and then I was like, "Oh yeah, you can do it. You can do it, Kelly. You can do it."
Charity, it's closing night. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling pumped. I'm feeling ready to take on the show.
Perfect. Well, if there's one thing you're going to miss the most about the show, what is it?
Yeah, I'm gonna miss your mediocre performance every night. Oh my god.
From the horse's mouth. Thank you, Charity. Steiner. I'm going around for the podcast.
Jesus.
What?
I said, oh Jesus.
Oh yeah, here we go. So, what are you going to miss most about this show and everything?
My mind immediately goes to penis, and it has nothing to do with the show.
I love it. Stina's gonna miss penis. She's gonna miss penis during the show. So
sorry.
You're fine. Carly, I need to talk to you about it. How are you doing? It's closing night.
I am doing as well as I can be for closing night.
I'm sure. Well, this has been such like an awesome show for you and your family and everything too. So,
Right.
What are you gonna miss most about it?
Really, Midvale has become a second family to me, and so I'm gonna miss coming and hanging out with my family every night, and just the rhythm of coming and hanging out with everybody.
For sure, yeah. I mean, you guys are hearing right now. This backstage is nuts, but we love it. Anyway, awesome show. Break legs, everybody. Trinidad, how are you doing?
I'm doing super great. How are you doing, Michael?
Good. What are you gonna miss about the show?
I think I'm gonna miss every night getting to do letter bomb and like say fuck you to John in the middle of it.
Perfect. John,
That's my favorite.
how are you feeling about it?
How I feel about what?
The show's closing. How are you feeling?
I feel... Please don't ask me this right now.
I know, everyone's just
Too
like,
soon.
we're all
Too
going to
soon.
start crying immediately. Well, what are you going to miss most about this show, if there's one thing you could say?
Having something to do after work.
Okay, I'm glad we mean so much to you. That works. Hey, Ryan. It's closing night. How are you feeling?
I'm really sad, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I want to say that I'm super happy. Like, we made him up, but, like, this one's been a good one. And it's one that we're probably never going to bring back. And it's probably one I'll never get to work on again like this.
Don't you dare say that, dude.
I don't think we can replicate it, though. I'm dead
That's
serious.
true.
I don't want to do something just for the sake of doing it
Yeah.
and have it be half-assed and not as good.
That makes sense.
I'd rather feel proud about my work and look back on it.
Well, and I'm glad we've recorded it like 5 times, so there's no way we can like lose that recording and everything. But yeah, well, if there's going to be one thing that you miss most about this whole process, what is it?
I just like having something to look forward to that's artistic. I mean, I love the show and everything, but I work in theater and I run tech and stuff, and it's a good job, but this fulfilled something in my daily life that I'm always missing, and that's like getting to do my art and feel proud about what I do and have like a finished product.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, cool. It's awesome. I hope everyone's gonna break a leg. You're awesome, Ryan. I love you. Chris, favorite son, how are you doing? It's closing night. How are you doing?
I feel good. I'm sad
Good.
that the show's going to be over, but I'm excited for tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good show. Well, I've been asking everybody, what is the thing that you're going to miss most about this show?
Definitely the cast.
Yeah.
Just getting to see them every night. It's
For
always
sure.
a blast.
Well, yeah, we have so many crazy people in this cast, too.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just been so much fun.
I can think of a couple.
Yeah. Chris
Yes.
looks right over at Trinidad when he says that, so it's perfect. Oh, man. Well, cool. We'll break a leg, man. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Jordan, how's it going, man?
It's going good. How are you?
Good. Closing night. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling bittersweet.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm ready for my voice to not feel like it's gonna break.
Yeah, I mean, my voice is so freaking tired after all these performances.
Yeah,
insane.
it's not easy stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if there's going to be one thing you miss the most, what is it?
Probably the cast. Like, we've all gotten so close.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, everybody's been saying that. It's been a theme of it. It's just been such an awesome cast.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're going to miss you for sure. So, yeah, break a leg tonight. All right, we're here with Chantel. She snuck back here backstage, so I wanted to grab her. But yeah, how are you doing? It's closing night. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling awesome. So excited to see the cast perform the last time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. If there's one thing that you're going to miss most about this show, what is it?
All the energy that it brings to like the whole audience, the whole cast, me, the crew, everyone. It's just like, it's a vibrant show, and it's so fun. It's been so fun these last few months.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for all your help with everything. It's been awesome. So
It's been blast.
cool. Alec also snuck backstage, and I just wanted to grab him really quick. How are you doing? It's closing night. How are you feeling?
I'm doing well, feeling good.
Good, perfect. Well, yeah, I've just been asking everybody if there's one thing you're going to miss about this show and the process, what would that be?
I think I'll miss the story the most. When you look at this show, you think angsty punk rock show, but there's really this core feeling of family, which is surprising with this show. But it essentially returns into the people that you are with become the family you have.
Yeah, and I feel like us as a cast and crew have kind of reached that too, so it's going to be awesome. Well, thank you so much for all your help with this. Hope you have a good show tonight, I guess. I don't know. Thanks, Alex. Okay, what I'm going to miss about this show is that everyone gets so weird and antsy whenever microphones get put in front of their face.
Which is weird because we're all actors.
Yeah. Okay, Sarah, how are you doing? It's closing night. How are you feeling?
I'm nervous, but I'm
Yeah?
excited.
What are you nervous about? We're old.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's the solid answer.
No, it's funny because I got stage fright opening night, and then Wednesday when we came back, and that's
Yeah,
been it. So
I believe it.
anyway.
I almost cried opening night because I was so nervous.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I'm sure that we're all going to be crying tonight for a different reason.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Anyway. Well, if there's one thing you're going to miss about this show more than anything, what would you say it is?
I think the family aspect. I mean, we've all become so close over the last few months that we've almost become
become like a family. And I think we all get along really well. So it's going to be weird not to see everyone every night and hang out all the time. So
Yeah, and that's like something about theater that I love the most is that you have these like lone of families for like a couple months. You guys just come together and you're so close and everything, and yeah, it's just really cool. Well, I hope you break legs tonight. It's going to be a fun show. So
thank you. I know. I'm like, that's not
My leg's already broken, Michael. Right.
I know, we're halfway there, guys.
Yeah. We'll see if we can break the other one tonight. All right, I'm here with Dallin. Dallin, how are you doing tonight?
I am exhausted but ready.
Dude, my voice is so shot right now. Like, I'm just going to be screaming this whole show. But
what voice? That's how I feel.
Exactly.
What voice?
Exactly. Well, it's closing night. You have any thoughts about the show and how it's been going or anything?
It's been great. It's been a lot better, a lot programmer ahead. A lot more better well-received than I imagined.
Agreed.
Figure that one out and tell me how to phrase that better.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, that's awesome. If there's one thing you're going to miss about this show more than anything, what would you say that is?
As weird as it sounds, I'm going to miss all the bruises, and I am going to miss taking out my aggression on Trump during holiday.
Oh my
that
God.
has been fun!
Fuck yeah, for
Yep.
sure. Well, awesome. I hope you have an awesome show tonight. Break legs.
All the legs.
Break Sarah's legs.
Yes, Sarah, I'm breaking your legs.
Right. We'll see ya. So I'm hanging out on the girls' side of the
Get out, Michael!
the dressing room, and there's just like a conga line of women curling hair right now. But I wanted to sneak in and grab Charity and say, "How are you, Charity?"
Oh, I'm good. How are you, Michael?
Good.
Yeah, I'm wearing clothes, so.
That's yes. You're not naked this time.
Big difference.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the the actual deal about that is that every time Charity hears me coming, she starts taking clothes off. It's really weird. But anyway, it's closing night. How are you feeling?
I am sad that this show's ending. I am also excited for the next adventures for everybody, but I think I'm going to miss this cast a lot. I think we've all grown really close. I don't think any of us realized how great this show was going to be and how it turned out. And I remember when you pressured me into audition, and I was like, I don't know if I should do that. Not sure if I want to, and I didn't realize how much I was going to love this show and how much everyone I know was going to love the show too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been such a crazy reception for how amazing this show's been. But anyway, if there's one thing you're going to miss most about this show, what do you think it's going to be?
I think I'm going to miss buying Vans for the show and wearing punk rock things. Because now in my life, I'll never do that again.
Gotcha. Well, Charity looks kick-ass in a choker necklace, so... Yes, all right. Thanks, Charity. I hope you have a good show tonight. I'm also sneaking in to talk with my wife. I have to, make an appointment to see her backstage, it feels like, but... yeah. We're married. It's crazy. Anyway, how are you doing? It's closing night. How are you feeling, Ash?
Yeah, for sure. So sad.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's all. Okay. Well, if there's... yeah, absolutely.
Hate screaming at John. What? I'm going to miss the most, the thing I'll miss the most will be hate screaming at you.
John, how you feel about that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Well, after what you guys do in the first act, it feels really gratifying to me to see that. So,
See them break up?
yeah, exactly.
I know. You're not rooting for us.
Exactly.
You know what? Today I'm
What?
going to do it even harder.
Fuck.
What does that mean?
What does that
Can I
mean?
share my favorite part of the show?
Yes, Maddie, what's your favorite part of the show?
When you have to sit on stage while your wife is doing it with another guy.
Perfect. Yep. Mine too. That's my favorite part of the show too. So, well, thank you, Ashley. All right, back with Bria. I'm sure she's probably sick of me by this point with how much we. Yeah. Anyway, how are you doing, Bria? It's closing night. How are you feeling?
I'm awesome, but I'm so sad. I can't think about it. I'm gonna cry my makeup off before the show even starts.
Right.
I'm gonna go through withdrawals. This cast
For
has
sure.
been so amazing, and you've been amazing. I'm not sick of you, so don't worry. And,
No, I'm totally.
and I just
Thank you. Talon's sick of me,
Yeah,
so
Talon's
at least I got one of them. Well,
I'm just so sad, but I'm so happy I got the opportunity to be
yeah,
a part of this.
absolutely. Well, if there's one thing you're going to miss most about the show, what do you think it's going to be?
Oh my gosh, literally just everything. Like, this is my dream show, and it's been so amazing to be in it. I feel sort of complete, as cheesy as that is, but I'm gonna miss the people, the music, just literally everything.
Yeah. Well, I think it's an awesome send-off for you because Bria's going to New York, being a fancy New York college student, just a little bit. So
I'll be starving in my dorm and just crying about how much I miss this show. So
Sure.
It's
Well,
a good memory.
yeah.
For me, though.
For sure. Well, I hope you have an awesome show. Break your legs
you.
tonight. All
You
right.
too.
We'll see ya.
No.
Can I have a redo so
Sure.
my thought is not a penis?
I like it. I think it's
I
funny.
think that's all you think of. Well, no.
I
he's
won't.
like,
I'm
what
not
are
going to
you
let
miss about
you.
the show, and I'm like, penis.
I'm not going to let you do a redo. I will let you. I'm going to keep the first one in, but I'll let you do a second one.
You
You
get
get this on stage every night.
I do get hit in the boob a lot. No, genuinely though, what I am going to miss most about the show, this is my second favorite musical ever.
First one being.
First one being Spring Awakening.
Okay. All right.
And this was my very first concert. When I was 16 years old,
Really?
I went to the American Idiot concert Jimmy Eat World opened.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, so this is like...
It's like reliving your first concert experience.
It really is.
Well, that's what's... As you may know, I was a rock kid before I was a theater kid, so this is like... right? So this is like mixing my junior high and my high school experiences. It's just been awesome. Well, I hope you have an awesome night. I hope you yell at Dallin and I just super well tonight. But
I
yeah,
hope I bruise you.
yes, please try to bruise me. I've been telling you guys to try and hit me as hard as you can, and you
I
just
feel
won't.
so bad though, because you look so angry, and I'm like, shit.
Whatever. All right. Well, thank you, Steina. All right, I'm here with Darcity. How are you doing, Darcity?
I'm good. I'm getting a little emotional, but I'm good.
Well, and I was gonna say her makeup. She posted this video of her time lapse of her makeup, and she gets so involved with it. So I would not want you to cry any of it off.
No, well, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be all blue across my face
Yeah.
at the end of the show.
For sure.
No,
Well,
I put so much detail into makeup for this show, and I've never done this much makeup. I've always do like the basic, but
yeah. So what about this show in particular made you want to just try it?
This particular look that I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a punk rock show, and I grew up with this kind of music, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go all out. I'm even gonna do the blue context and everything to make myself look punk rock. So I don't know. I figured I'd take advantage of the moment. So
Sure. Awesome. Well, if there's one thing you're gonna miss most about this show, what would you say that is?
Oh my God, the friendships and
Steina's motioning at herself, but
Steina.
it's a classic Steina move.
No, the friendships. Honestly, everyone in this cast gets along. Everyone talks to everyone. We're always hanging out. It's really what I love about doing theater is the community that we built and the friendships we built. So
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, that's so. Everyone's been saying that, and this cast has just become such a cool, like, big family. So, anyway, I hope you have the best show tonight. Break all your legs, and we will. Yeah, it's gonna be an awesome show.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. All right, I tracked down Kenneth. How are you doing, Kenneth? It's closing
Doing
night.
good.
Yeah, you feeling good about closing and everything?
Yeah,
Good.
I'm tired.
Sure. Well, and you just got cast in Grand Theater's Rocky Horror Show.
Yes, I did.
So do you even have a break after this? Or you going
Yes,
straight
I get
to
a month's break, actually.
Okay, cool.
Praise God.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, like, some of the cast got cast in Mamma Mia right after this at Midvale. I don't know.
You guys are already rehearsing.
They already are rehearsing, and we haven't even closed, so I don't know how they do that. But anyway, this has been such an awesome show.
Yes.
What are you going to miss most about it?
I'm going to miss hanging out with everyone and getting to know everyone and being around everyone. This has been my home for the past year and 2 months since I moved here, so
yeah, for sure.
It's going to be the biggest thing.
Well, and it's always weird when you close a show, and, like, every night we're here, every night we're hanging out with everybody, and then your social life just drops.
Absolutely. But I'm kind of looking forward to that at the same time. I just want to nap.
Me too. Fucking, I can't. My voice is so shot today.
Same.
Yeah. So we'll see if we get through it. But anyway, break legs, man. It's gonna be an awesome show. We'll see ya. All right, I'm here with Sam. How are you doing, Sam? I'm good. Good. Good game, Sam. I don't know what that is, but yes. It's closing night. How are you feeling?
I'm pretty sad. I always get really sad because
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. Are you a little sick, it sounds like?
Yeah.
That really sucks. Yeah. Well, what are you going to miss most about this show?
I'm gonna miss the dancing a lot. I've had an amazing time, like learning the choreography and getting a chance to perform it for the crowds.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, if you guys saw the show, you know that Sam is just incredible. She was our dance captain and everything, so she kills it. But anyway, I hope you have an awesome show. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, break legs. Thanks. Yeah, we'll see ya. Tasha just walked through, so I had to grab her. How you doing, Tasha? It's closing. How you feeling?
Emotional, as usual, but maybe a little more heightened today.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is there any particular reason? Or?
No, none. None whatsoever.
Yeah. This is her final show with us this time around. So. Well, okay, final for now, because here's to hoping you come back from Washington. And
Here's hoping I fail miserably. And
exactly. Anyway, well, I'm going to ask you a little different question. I've been asking everybody what they're going to miss about this show the most, but what are you going to miss about Midvale the most?
About Midvale. Whew. I have worked at several different theaters, and this is really a family here. I know that lots of people say that, and lots of theaters say that, but these are like my best friends and my family. So
absolutely, I've done shows at a couple other theaters, and it's not even close. Like,
and I also just like the fact that like I don't have a ton of experience in theater besides just doing it. And here
right.
I've gotten to do everything. I've gotten to do tech, and I've gotten to work backstage, and
yeah. Well, we love you. Thank you so much for all of your work on all these shows. It absolutely is incredible. So.
Well, I do it for you guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I
well,
love you. She does it for
here's to.
I do it for my mom and dad.
Right.
Michael and Ashley are my mom and dad.
Yeah.
I do it for the fans.
For all of her raving fans.
I do it for Toby.
For Toby. Toby, my son Toby. Is he here tonight? Okay, good.
Here tonight.
All right. Well, thank you, Tasha.
You're welcome. Break a leg. I love you.
As always, the Midvale Main Street Theatre podcast is sponsored, funnily enough, by the Midvale Main Street Theatre. Check out new and exciting updates on everything going on at the Midvale Main Street Theatre by going to www.midvaletheatre.com or check them out on Facebook and Instagram at Midvale Main Street Theatre. You can find show notes and much more by going to our podcast's Facebook page at facebook.com/MMST podcast. Special thanks to Ashley Howell, Joel Clark, and Matthew Petrucci for help making this show happen. I owe you guys the world. I've been Michael Howell, and this has been the Midvale Main Street Theatre podcast. The views expressed have been mine alone and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Midvale Main Street Theatre, its owners, or volunteers. If you've liked what you've heard today, please consider finding the Midvale Main Street Theatre podcast on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or whatever podcast listener you're using and dropping us a 5-star review. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at MMST Podcast. Thank you very much, and until next time, we'll see ya.